Hey guys, let's talk about reading today. So, when I was growing up, I always felt like I wasn't much of a reader. And, I grew up in one of those families where, my parents, they encouraged me to do well in school. And I did pretty well in school, but I never felt like much of a reader compared to my friends who read like dozens, if not hundreds, of books over the summer. And I never did that. But when I look back, I did read quite a bit. It's just that I didn't read as many books as my friends did. And what I mean by that is I read lots of magazines, like Time magazine. Back then, I was interested in cars. So I read magazines like Motor Trend and Car and Driver. I also read business magazines like Business Week, Fortune, Forbes. So I even read. I remember I started to read. I kind of looked through the magazine Foreign Affairs when I was like starting in junior high. So I did read a lot. It's just that I didn't read as many books as my friends, and I read some, but not as many as some of my friends did. So, and I bring this up because the number one, I would say the number one rule for reading, if there are any rules, if the I think the best advice I can give you is read whatever you want to read, and read that, especially if you feel embarrassed, guilty, or bad about reading it. Okay, here's what I mean. I literally mean read anything you want to read. If you like reading the back of cereal boxes, okay? If you like reading the nutritional labels on cereals or whatever food product that you like and you enjoy, read it. It doesn't matter, okay? Here's why. If you're interested in it, you'll keep on reading, and that's the most important thing, okay? And you could learn a lot of important things from anything. Here's why I say you should read it, especially if you're interested or embarrassed about it. Do you know why you get embarrassed if you find something that you like, and you get shy about it, and maybe you don't want to tell other people? Here's why. You realize that you found something that means a lot to you. You found something that you feel like, oh, you know what? This gives me joy, this gives me excitement, and it makes me more curious. And I feel like, wow, I mean, I feel like I found like a very good friend in book form or in word form or on paper. And so you get shy because you're excited and you think about telling other people about it, but then you ask yourself, what's their reaction gonna be, right? And you wonder, wait, are they gonna make fun of what I'm interested in? So let's say I was obsessed with cars, right? If I go up to someone and say, hey, check this out, and the other person's like, well, I'm not really into cars, and that car looks dumb, right? And you feel like, oh, I don't want that to happen. So here's the thing: read whatever you want, whether it's a blog, book, magazine, back of a cereal box, okay, food labels, cartoons, whatever magazine. If you're a guy, if you like reading the advice columns in women's magazines, go for it. If you're a girl, if you like reading men's workout magazines, go for it. It doesn't matter. If you're interested in the topic, read it. Okay, there's good writing everywhere. In fact, I would say just to go back to the car magazine example. There's this car magazine called Car and Driver. Some of you may have heard of it. I think the writing in there is better than any general interest newspaper or magazine writing there is. It's extremely articulate, expressive. There's a lot of emotions involved in expressing how these test car drivers describe a car, and so you could learn not just about cars, but it's way beyond. It goes to life, human, emotions, and sort of never-ending lessons about what life is like. And so there's valuable lessons, there's wisdom everywhere. You don't have to stick with just the classics like Shakespeare and Charles Dickens. In fact, I would say that if reading anything that you want to read is so important because it gives you wisdom. I'm serious. Whatever it is, if you think something is not serious enough for you to be spending time on, I want you to read that because it is good enough. It is good enough for you. There really is wisdom, deep wisdom in anything and everything. Okay, you should read because it excites you. It could excite you to action. Okay, just merely following up on curiosity. Reading something, it doesn't have to lead to something. You don't have to read it as a means to an end. Okay, you should just read for enjoyment. That's extremely important. Get enjoying life, enjoying reading something. That could be the final goal, final end result, and you don't have to worry about trying to produce something with what you've read. Having said that, as with good things, there are so many unintended or intended, whatever, positive consequences. One of the positive consequences of reading whatever you want is you become a better writer. Okay, it's inevitable. It's gonna happen without you even realizing. Okay, what happens is you read something, you find something that you like, and you sort of in your mind mimic the style. You pick up phrases, you pick up ways to express something. There are emotions that you felt, but you never knew how to express it, and then you read something. Oh yeah, I always felt that way about something. This car, this food, that dress, that fashion, this music, whatever, right? This literary expression, and you go, oh, you know what? That's a great way to express it. I'm gonna use that next time, and you mimic it, and then by copying it, you develop your own style. Listen, don't worry about plagiarizing or copying, okay? I'm not saying copy somebody's essay word for word or book word for word, but what happens is as you read it, at first you might try to kind of mimic the style. That's how you develop your own unique style, okay? Everybody does that. All great writers, they read a lot, okay? And that's how they develop their own style, okay? They copy it at the beginning. They try to mimic the styles and try to imitate. I'm not saying they copy word for word, but they try to imitate a style that they like, and that's how they develop their own style, okay? So read whatever you want to read. Another advice is don't be afraid to put a book down, a magazine down. Stop reading if it doesn't grab you pretty immediately, okay? We're very good at telling early on whether you're drawn to something, whether you feel like you're gonna pick up something. Okay. Another advice: if you get one thing out of a book, article, blog, that's enough. Okay. Just one thing, getting one thing out of something is enough. So, for example, you might finish a book you like, and you go, "Oh, you know what? It was a good read. I think I got this out of it." But was that enough? Absolutely. Another way to look at it is, let's say you pick up a 150 page or 200 page or 300 page book, right? And then on page 5, you pick up something, an idea or an insight or an emotion that you really liked. And then as you keep on reading more, you start to lose interest in the book. Put the book down. Don't ever be afraid or embarrassed to put a book down. A related idea is you should start more books, articles, magazines, blogs, whatever, backup cereal boxes. You should start them more, because as long as you give yourself permission to stop reading if it no longer interests you, you should be confident about starting more reading projects, because you could always put it down and move on to the next one if you're no longer interested. Okay, so explore. Okay, and for students, especially for whether you're in grade school, junior high, or high school. Reading is arguably the most important skill. And when I say that, again, I'm not just talking about Shakespeare and the classics that you're going to be reading in school, okay? Read anything. And if there are words that you don't know, look it up, okay? I know that sounds very nerdy, but maybe even if you don't look up every word that you don't know, and you come across, if you look up just a quarter, maybe just 10% of the words you'll be so far ahead of most people who never look up the words they don't know. It's gonna do you so much good, just as a person, as a writer, in terms of reading comprehension. Okay. Another thing, if you come across a phrase or a sentence, a quote, a saying that you like, whatever it is that you're reading, write it down. You'll be amazed how valuable those quotes, those sentiments, those thoughts become when you come back to it a few weeks, a few months, or even many years later. You'll say to yourself, "Oh yeah, that saying that really gave me a mental boost. That saying really gave me encouragement when I was down, when I was sort of sad, and it kind of gave me something to lean on." Okay, so create a journal, write it down, copy it down, or if you're so lazy you don't want to write it down, take a picture of the quote, the sentence with your camera. Okay. Collect them, okay? I like to keep a journal where, I just, write down quotes that I like, sayings I like. It doesn't even have to be a complete sentence. It could be just a phrase, okay? So read whatever you want, Be more aggressive about putting down books or anything that you're reading that no longer interests you. Okay, explore widely. If you're embarrassed about something, if you're shy about something, if you feel bad about reading something, stick with it and keep on reading that kind of a book or material, magazine, topic, okay? Subject area, because that you're embarrassed because it really grabs your heart, and you're afraid of what others are gonna say about it, because it means so much to you that you don't want somebody else to kind of look down upon something that that's something that touches your heart. So you don't have to tell anyone about it, okay? So why do you need the approval of others to read something that you truly enjoy? Okay, look up words if you can. We all have smartphones. It's so easy. When I was growing up, I had to look up a paperback dictionary. That's fun too, and I sometimes I actually prefer that. But even if I prefer it, it's just so easy to just quickly look up a word on a book or on my computer. Okay, so. And also reading, makes you a better writer. And writing is an extremely important skill. And so again, reading is arguably the best, most efficient way to pick up new ideas, to learn things. Okay, and by reading, I do not mean just books. It could be anything. Okay, it could be a gun wrapper with a cartoon on it. Those gun wrappers with cartoons on it. It could be back of a cereal box, as I mentioned. It could be food labels. It could be any kind of magazine. The more you enjoy, the more bad you feel about it, because you feel like, oh, this isn't serious or this isn't important enough. Stick with it. What you read when you don't have to is who you become. It's one of that's I think that's my paraphrasing of a saying that I think is really important. Okay. So you don't need permission. Read whatever you want to read. Put it down if it no longer interests you. Okay. So in other next videos, we'll talk about reading school books, sort of the classics of literature that we read, and sort of. I know a lot of us have a hard time going through books like that because you feel like it might be a little bit boring. It's dense. I'll give you some thoughts, some advice on how you could sort of better get through those books and learn something from it. Okay? Thanks, guys. Bye.